My name is Bob Johnston. I'm the director of the Drug and Alcohol Treatment Program, Wichita Falls Faith Mission. I'm here today with Leslie Guest. Leslie, how are you doing today?
I'm doing all right.
Fantastic. Glad you could come by and visit with us today. I'm here to find out some things about you. And there's a group of people out there that want to know some things about you. So I'm going to ask you the same question I ask every single person that sits in that chair. How'd you get to that chair?
So I'm gonna have to say it started back in Waco, Texas. I was born May 1st, 1992. Uh, my mom, I guess 2 weeks after I was born, she gave me over to my great aunt and great uncle to raise. So I was like, so I had a dad, but he passed away when I was 5. Um, so that kind of, I mean, it affected me. Like I really wasn't sure what happened, but I knew he was no longer there. Growing up, never knew who my real dad was. Um, Never knew much about him. Uh, then my great aunt, she raised me, she took me, she went to church. It was First United Methodist Church there in Waco. Um, so she used to make me go as a kid. Didn't want to go, but I went, and probably around, I'm gonna say 14, 15-ish, right before she passed away, I started becoming rebellious towards her and treating her like crap. And anyways, she passed away when I was 15 and almost 16, and that like it just destroyed me. Um, a guy that I grew up with, calling him my brother, he stayed across the street from us. He was into drugs and all that, and I happened to be over there, and he was doing methamphetamines, shooting it up, and that's how I got hooked on that. Did my first shot at the age of 16, and it was just off to the races then, man. Um, so from the time I was 16 all the way up until I got arrested December 21st, been using methamphetamines and smoking marijuana nonstop. Besides the times that I was incarcerated.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah. So shortly after I got hooked on methamphetamines, um, I ended up moving to Jacksboro, Texas, with my real mom, and mine and her relationship was like real rocky. Like I never really called her my mom. Always called her by her name, Lucy. And uh, shortly after moving in with her, probably almost a year or so, that changed. Um, Started finding out, people do make mistakes or whatever. She was just doing what she thought was best for me. And I mean, mine and her relationship, it wasn't the best right off the bat, but it was starting to get better. But I was still in that rebellious state of mind.
Hmm.
Um, I still wanted to run around and do whatever I wanted to. Uh, First year in school up there, uh, got in trouble for having marijuana at school. Um, uh, that was on my juvenile record. So that's when she found out that I was smoking pot up there. Um, and here and there, I was still doing methamphetamines. She didn't know about that yet until a little later on. But but yeah. So let's see. Um, Probably 17, almost. No, I was about to turn 18. No, I was just 18, and I caught my first marijuana charge for a seed in a stem. They took me to jail, Jack County Jail, and that's when my whole little jail stint, incarceration stint, started. And
How many times have you been incarcerated?
I've been to prison 3 times. Um, County jail, man, I can't even.
How much of your life, how many years do you think you spent behind bars at this point?
In the last 17 years, probably about eight of those,
So
in and out. Yes. Um, uh, and like for the longest, I never really knew why I was doing the things that I was doing.
mm,
I just, because I always said I wanted to. I want
right.
to do that. I want
Yeah.
to do that. I like doing that. And then, of course, after so long of using, I got addicted to it.
Mm.
And I was no longer in control over it. It was in control over me. And it's took me a long time to realize that.
Yep.
But I've realized that. Um, so I was, I'm going to say about 20 something years old, and I was with this chick that was like almost 40, and she started making these checks. So I ended up going to jail over checks, and that was the first time that I went to prison, was over forgeries of financial instrument. And we were using drugs at that point too. But before I went to prison, I actually got put on probation for the engaging in organized crime due to the forgeries. 3 or more people were involved. And probation, I wasn't trying to hear anything that they were trying to tell me to do, nothing like that. I wanted to do what Leslie wanted to do when he wanted to do it. And they end up issuing a warrant for me, and I go to Jack County Jail, and I end up going to another program, my first program, Salvation Army Rehab. Completed the whole 6 months, was doing good, and Jack County wouldn't transfer my probation up there. They wanted me back in Jack County because they were afraid I was going to run off on them.
Right.
So they wanted their money. And I didn't realize that's what it was, until way later on. So I went back down there with the wrong mindset, just thinking that they were just, wanting to sucker me back into Jacksboro. And
You were back
anyway,
with your old people, places,
yes,
and things.
absolutely was.
Yeah.
And my first report, when I went in there to report to him, he was like, "So, Mr. Guest, what brings you back to Jack County?" And that just did it for me. I asked him, "Are you going to UA me today? If so, let's get that done. I'm leaving right afterwards. I won't come back and see you. If you want me, come get me." Should have never done that, but I did. Uh, but yeah, people, places, and things. I started running with them again, right back in the mix of things. And I'm going to say shortly after that, I caught my state jail sentence. Went to prison first time, 7 months. Got out of there, come back to Jacksboro. And the trip back to Jacksboro was something. So I was in Dallas at Hutchins State Jail. They released me to the Dallas bus stop. The bus ticket, the closest they could get me to Jacksboro was to Fort Worth. And that's still like an hour away.
Long way.
And so I'm stranded in Fort Worth, and this guy comes up to me outside of the bus station and hands me an all-day bus fare to ride the buses. So I'm riding these buses, and I get to like Lake Worth area, and I'm like, okay, I'm this much closer. Now it's just Azle, Springtown, Jacksboro. And so I get to the Walmart right there at Lake Worth, and I'm sitting outside of Walmart, red chain bag in my hand. This Mexican guy comes walking out. I could tell he's been to prison, and he starts talking to me. I ask him for a ride, and he was like, yeah. So he was like, but first we have to go and find my grandma. And I'm like, okay. So I'm with him, and we're going looking for his grandma at some Walmart, and we've went to the same Walmart 4 different times, and she's not there. She was at the come to find out, she was at the Walmart up the road, and this whole time I'm riding with this guy. He has like an ounce of dope in the car and a pistol, and didn't know any of this until a little later on. And he ends up dropping me off like right before Azle, and I end up walking into Azle. This is the next morning. End up walking into Azle, run into a guy that ended up giving me a ride all the way back to Jacksboro. He was a retired veterinarian, and my wrong way of thinking, as I was walking on the service road, I found a $20 bill. And I was like, oh man, where there's one, there's another. Well, I walk up probably 10 yards and I find a $100 bill. Well, then right after that, I hear this horn down on the highway, and it's this guy. He come to pick me back up. And I get in his truck, and he's like, we're going to stop in Springtown, get gas, and I'm going to take you all the way to your house, man. Thank you, man. And I was like, instead of using the money that I had on me to pay him back, I was like, hey, when we get to Jacksboro, I'll see if my mom has $40 to give you for gas. Well, I went in, left him out in the driveway, never went back out, never even asked my mom for money. And I had $100 in my pocket. Well, I tell my mom, hey, mom, I'll be back. I leave. First thing I went to do was go get high. And right back off I went. So let's see. I'm out like 6 days. That was like March 21st. I got out, got released. So by March 27th, I was back in Jack County Jail on a marijuana charge. Sat there 123 days. I was on parole as well. Uh, anyways, I get out from there and I'm reporting like every week and fell in every UA. And so they end up sending me to ISF until discharge. So I discharged that. That was, uh, let's see, January, uh, January 13th of 2019, I believe. And I was out like free and clear of everything, fresh start, free and clear. Didn't have the changed mind though. And 7 months down the road, I get caught with my first Mandel charge. And I go to jail. I get PR bonded out after 3 months. And I'm out from October 29th to about uh, around January of 2020. And I catch another possession of controlled substance charge. I go in there and Patrick, which I call him my stepdad, him and my mom had a thing going on. But anyways, he ends up bonding me out towards the end of January. And I get out and right back to doing what I was doing. Didn't want to change. And I end up going March 2nd of 2020. I end up over in Young County and I caught another manufacturing delivery charge. And that's where I signed a 10-year prison sentence. Uh, and that's whenever I realized through that whole process of being in county jail, the chick, the hoochie mama that I got caught up with, she had like an ounce of dope they found on her and she tried to say that it was mine and it wasn't. And I told them, I said, that doesn't make no sense. I had 7 grams on me. If I had that ounce, it would all been together if I told her to hide it. Like what she had on her was hers. And it just made me think like, what am I doing?
Mhm.
What am I doing? And that's when that thought of wanting to change started taking place. I just didn't really know how to go about it. So I go to prison. I'm in there almost 3 years on a 10 and I get out and yeah, I get out and I'm doing good. Had a little mechanic job at my stepdad's son's shop and end up Ryan ends up letting me go due to some cop in Jacksboro didn't like me. Um anyways, so I end up getting a head cook job at the Green Frog and I'm doing pretty good there. And then I start using again. And I end up going to ISF for failed UAs and not reporting. And I did like 80 something days in all of that time. And I got out of that was September 1st of 2023. And by December 21st of 2023, I I catch my another parole violation and a new dope case. And I've been locked up from December 21st to 2023. That's actually how I found out about this place um, from a past programmer that's graduated, Sebastian Lindsay.
Yep.
And so I'm in county jail, and that was the first time I ever cried being locked up, ever. December 22nd, I'm sitting there in the day room, and it hit me the severity of my charge, and started questioning myself, what have I been doing with my life? What am I doing? There has to be there. I know there's better. I know there is. And I was sitting there crying. This guy that was in there with me, one other dude, he asked me what was wrong. And I said, man, he said, are you okay? I said, no, I'm not okay. I'm not. Like, I'm physically, spiritually, mentally not okay, man. I'm about to have to break this down to my mom that they're about to enhance me to habitual offender, man, that carries 25 to life. And he was like, oh, well, I'll just be quiet about my 6-month sentence. And so that day I call my mom and I break that to her. And she's crying, I'm crying. Well, that night, when I laid down that night, that's when I just asked God to come into my life. And I said, I don't know what that looks like, but I need you to fully come into my life. I can't do this no more. I really don't know what that looks like, but here I am. And I just said that prayer. And it was like after that, I started seeing doors open inside of the county jail that it wasn't nothing that I was doing. It had to come from him. I became a trustee. I got in the kitchen, um, came head cook in the kitchen. I was running the kitchen, and the jail administrator would pull me out and allow me to do inventory on his computer myself and submit the payment. He trusted me that much, and like I just knew that that was all God, and I was just asking God to use me while I was there. And I feel like the way He used me is I was able to feed people and the lost, the broken, and I would be able. They allowed me to walk down the halls and ask people, "Hey, are you hungry? Are you hungry?" Or take leftovers down there to them. And I'm just thinking, like, what county jail does that? Like, this has to be God. God's moving. And I started reaching out to some other programs like Men of Nehemiah, and I was like, man, I can't go to prison again. It's not that I can't. I don't want to. I want better for myself. I need to find help. Prison's not going to help me. Um, so I start reaching out to like Men of Nehemiah up there by Abilene, Salvation Army Rehab again, and a couple of others. And I'm calling them every day, using the phone in book in their landline phone. No answer, no answer, no answer. And Sebastian Lindsay shows up. And the hatred that I had for that guy, because I thought what he did was intentional and it wasn't. A guard told me, she was like, Leslie, you act like you ain't never made a mistake in your life. And that hit me. I'm in the cell and I'm crying. I asked God to open up a door for me to be able to talk to this guy so I can apologize to him. And he has no idea what I'm going to apologize about. So some time goes by, and this other trustee, Mark, he asked Miss Huey if Sebastian can come in and work in the kitchen. She said yes, but Leslie has to get out of there. He can't be around him. Cool. So I do that. I'll follow those little rules, just knowing that I'm going to be able to talk to him. And he comes in there. One day I go in there and I'm cooking double meat bacon cheeseburger with all the fixings. For some reason I was cooking two of them and have no idea why. The back door of the kitchen comes open, and I've been praying about God allowing me to talk to him. And that day he allowed me to have that opportunity to talk to him. They come walking in. I go to leave. Miss Huey said, "Where are you going?" I said, I need to go out of the kitchen. Like, I'm not supposed to be around him. She said, "No, you're good." And I said, "No, you don't want me around him." She said, "Leslie, I said you're good. God told me that you're good." And I was like, oh, wow. So I go in there and I apologize to him, hug him, and feed him, send him back with some food. And so after that, I started praying a little more. Okay, God, open up a door for a program, open up a door for probation. And a buddy of mine, old buddy of mine, he comes in. I get him in the kitchen to try and help him. And probation officer comes walking in the kitchen, and they're not supposed to do that. But here he comes walking in the kitchen. And I know God opened that door up for that. And I was sitting right by the door when he come in. And I was like, "Oh, hey, Nathan." Nathan was like, "Hey, Leslie. Oh, wow. Like, you look a lot different from the last time I seen you." I said, "I am different, man. I want to be different. I don't want that no more." I said, "So hypothetically speaking, when I go to court, if they offer me probation, would you accept me?" And he was like, "Yeah." After talking to me a little bit, he was like, "Yeah, I'll accept you, man." Um, I was like, "Awesome." I stopped right there and I thank God for that. And so time goes on, and I told Sebastian if he ever needed to talk to me, I don't care what time of day it is, what time of night it is, press the button, ask for me. And one day, Mark comes in there and says, "Hey, Sebastian needs to talk to you." And I go down there, and he gives me a P.O. box, and it was to the Faith Mission. And I reached out, first ring, phone answered. I was like, oh, wow. Let me back up just a little bit on that story. So Mark, he has no idea that I got the physical phone number for this place. He's laying there dead asleep, snoring. And he just rolls over and he looks at me and says, "Call that other number." What are you talking about? What other number? He said, "Man, that other number to the program. Just call that other number." Rolls right back over, goes back to sleep. I'm like, man, I'm thinking, is he going through my stuff? Or I'm like, no, he wouldn't do that. And that's when I made the call. First ring, answered. Um, Took me a few days to get to talk to Bob, but finally, after about 4 or 5 days, I got to talk to you. And yeah, man, that's how I got here.
Okay.
You know.
And how did here change you? When you first got here, what'd you think?
Oh man. So when I first got here, I was stressing a lot about probation payments,
Mhm.
and past programmer had told me it's Saturday. What can you absolutely do about it right now? And I said nothing. He said, okay, why are you worried about it? Don't worry about it right now. Well, we're gonna get that taken care of, man.
Yeah.
Just calm down, man. All right, cool. And that stuck with me this whole time. Uh, so I'm gonna have to say probably at first the praise and worshiping. Um, some guys in there when I first got here was like, hey man, you need to start singing. You need to start singing. Bob's watching. Bob's watching. And I still had a mindset that I was trying to change. Like you're not going to tell me what to do, you know, but I submitted. And that's the key thing that I've learned from here is surrendering and submitting to
Yes,
God,
sir.
his will and his plans, removing myself out of the driver's seat and letting him take over. And yeah, that's what I've got, man.
Amen.
It's been awesome ever since.
Amen.
So
All right. Well, you're on the tail end. Graduation's coming up soon. Future plans.
future plans, I plan on going over to the transition house.
Okay.
So I've been thinking about applying for the city,
Hmm.
talking to Gary at church about that, CR about that. I've also been thinking about I'm going to talk to Bobby about Zach Burkett.
Hmm.
Um, have a couple of other options like Tower Extrusions and Tyson Chicken in Vernon.
Yeah.
They both do ride shares. And I've already talked to probation about that. Once I get closer to being able to apply for those, I've already got it approved. I don't need no monthly permit to travel out of county. That's already been approved. So, um, but yeah, man, that's my plans.
Sounds like a good plan.
Yes, sir.
And you can stay in the transition house for up to 12 months and saves you a lot of money, put a lot more money in the bank, and get ready
Absolutely.
for your new life.
Absolutely.
Amen. Got anything else you want to add before we close out today?
Just to thank all y'all at the Faith Mission, man. Like, I
Been,
mean that, man.
been our pleasure.
Y'all have, not just with my life, but countless others, you know, um, just, it's just amazing what y'all do, man.
Amen.
Y'all really do love us.
We really do. We
And
really do.
I feel like people like us, that's really all anybody wants, man. After thinking about it, everybody wants to be loved.
Mhm.
And living the lives that we've been living, we've been looking for love in the wrong places. And just to get that genuine sincerity from y'all, man. You know, yeah. I just want to thank y'all.
Amen. Thank you. You did the work, man. You did the work.